raining a lot here lately. In fact, it's still raining, but it's still important to make sure that the chooks have got fresh, clean water. I've tried a few different kinds of waterers. I've tried this one. This is a nipple drinker. What happens, you just attach it to any kind of bottle or a pipe or whatever, and down here there's a nipple. The chicken just pecks at the metal at the bottom and a drop of water comes out. Now they haven't been very successful for me, because what I find is the chicken quite happily taps at the nipple, but the water runs out and drips all over the floor and I end up with a bit of a mess. So the nipple waters haven't been a good success for me. My husband has made several of these for me, and I find it very convenient to have more than one, because it means I can scatter them about where the chickens are most likely to want a drink. So he makes them, I paint them. The flowers and decoration are of course entirely optional, but the basic design is what I want to show you because I think it's really brilliant and it works really well. There are lots of designs for automatic waterers available around on the internet or in your chicken shop. You can buy them, of course. You can make your own out of an upturned bucket into a dish of water. You just drill some holes around the top of the bucket, and then when it's full of water, upturn it into the dish, and the water leaks out to just the right level of the dish. There's plenty of those designs on the internet if you want to find one. But I find that this design has several advantages over that one. First of all, it's quite a narrow area of dish, so the chickens can't perch on the edge and soil the water, so that's pretty important. Secondly, it's just filled with using soda water bottles or any kind of pop bottle that you have. Doesn't matter what it is, it's just a disposable bottle that you can throw away when it gets dirty or mouldy. Very easy to just fill them and bring them in and top up their water. You don't have to take out the whole thing to clean it or refill it. But cleaning is really easy because this piece here is just a plastic dish. Now these are actually plastic ice cream containers from the days before I had chickens, when I used to buy ice cream. Of course now I make my own. Do look up my recipe. But the dish just fits into the wooden container, and that's very easy to take the dish out and clean it, and super easy to fill it with water whenever it needs topping up. You don't have to disassemble the whole thing and empty it out just to add a bit more water. So how does it work? Well, it's quite simple really. There's water in the container, and when you add water in the bottle, it will run into the container until the level of water in the bottle reaches the level of water in the container. After that, the water stops running down until the chickens come along, drink some water out, and more water runs into the container below. So it's very easy for the chickens to use. They have plenty of access to the water out here, and it holds a lot of water. This container at the bottom is 2 litres, and each of these can be 2 litres or whatever size bottle you decide to make it out of. So it holds a lot of water for the chickens to access without too much trouble having to refill it very frequently. I've tried making them in different sizes for different containers because I'm going to run out of those ice cream containers pretty soon. This one was designed just to use a takeaway plastic container, 2 of them side by side. And the same kind of principle, you just fill up the water bottle and upend it into the container. It fills up to the container to a certain level, and then it stops filling anymore. What I've found with this particular design is I have a couple of good ideas and a couple of aspects that don't work so well. First of all, what doesn't work so well is I haven't quite got the height of the bottles right, so that it doesn't fill up the containers quite as well as it should do. So I had to drill the holes into which the bottle fits a little bit larger, and I'll show you that in a moment. The aspect of this particular one that's particularly good is that on the bottom I've just put some legs. These are actually just the lids of these containers that are screwed onto the bottom just to make some little legs so it sits above the ground, and that works really well because often the ground around the watering area gets some shavings, some chips, some whatever it is, leaves or whatever kicked around. So having the water container sitting a little bit above the ground on some legs is a good idea. The other thing that I really like about this particular one is that the shelf comes out for cleaning. So when you need to clean, or as I've just done with this one, repaint it, it's very easy just to get in there and clean around without having any difficult little corners to try and get into. So while this one is disassembled, let's just show you how it works and what it's made of. Well, it's made of anything that you have, really. It's just a very good solid piece of wood on the bottom. Now that's fairly important because one of the aspects of this particular design is that heavy bottom means the whole thing doesn't get tipped over by the chickens when they're just scratching around underneath it looking for bugs. So a good heavy bottom, but it doesn't matter what it is. Some sides, 1, 2, 3. The sides are just there to hold the bottles up actually, so it doesn't matter how high they are. And there's a rail across the top. You could have had a solid front on it. In fact, the one that I've painted pink is got a fairly solid top on it, but this one had a little bit less wood, so we just made it with a rail. And then there's this ledge on which the bottles sit, and they just, of course, go into the holes to the point where the bottle won't slip through any further, and that holds the bottle at the correct height in the box. So if you can just sort of rough out exactly where what height you want the ledge to be, you obviously want it high enough to get your container under, and then your ledge just needs to be on top of that. So this ledge is just held in place with a couple of small pieces of wood to make a ledge for it to slide on. Not sure if you can see that, but hopefully you can. And then particularly if you've made a removable shelf like this, then put it in there, experiment a little bit, and you can adjust how high or low the bottles sit in it by drilling the hole a little bit wider, because of course as you drill a wider hole it will slip further down the bottle and the bottle will sit lower into the containers. So there it is. I think those are the absolute best watering systems, and I've tried a few. I now have 4 of these, and yes, my husband is making some more for me. But I suggest that you give it a go. Anyone who's a little bit handy with some cutting saws and hammers and things can make these pretty easily just from whatever containers you want to use and whatever little bits of scrap wood you might have sitting around. So have a go, and I hope you and your chickens enjoy the waterers. Thanks for watching.